Hello, it's Jack with My Social Practice, and welcome to Dental Digital Marketing Discussions. I have one of my good friends and a very special guest with me today. It's Steve Anderson, and I know Steve, probably most of our audience already knows who Steve Anderson is. But welcome.
Flatter me more, Jack, but I wouldn't go that far.
Well, in just a minute, I'm going to introduce you, and for those who don't know who you are. But anyway, as you know, those of you who have watched a few of our other discussions, here at My Social Practice, we're laser focused on social media. But we recognize that social media is just one component of effective dental digital marketing. And so we started these discussions primarily in preparation for the Dental Digital Marketing Conference, which is being held in Las Vegas at the end of April, just about a month from now. And Steve is actually going to be one of our presenters and has helped organize that conference through the Crown Council, which is My Social Practice's partner on the event. So we started these discussions in part because of that event coming up. So what I want to do first is I want to introduce Steve. So for those of you who don't know Steve, and to do so, I'm going to share my screen for just a minute. I've got a couple little slides here I just want to show. And hopefully, yeah, should be able to see that. You see my screen okay? And
got it.
So Steve Anderson's the founder and president of Total Patient Service Institute that specializes in implementing the highest level of patient service, communication, and management skills in dental practices. Over the last 25 years, he's spoken at every major dental meeting in North America, Australia, and the UK. He does a lot of traveling and a lot of educating. He's written 9 books. He has written hundreds of articles about practice management, and is just very well known in the industry. Also, in addition, in 1995, Steve co-founded the Crown Council, an international association of leading dentists and dental teams. And then through the Crown Council, Steve co-founded the Smiles for Life Foundation, which has raised, it'll be hopefully at the end of this campaign this year, it'll be over $40 million for children's charities around the world. So Steve has been named Dental Businessman of the Year by Excellence in Dentistry, and is a recipient of a number of awards, and well known, and just such an amazing contributor to the dental industry, and a nice guy. In addition.
Thanks, Jack. That's exactly the way my mother wrote all of that.
All right, great. And by the way, before we get to the meat of our conversation, Steve, a little birdie told me about this. I want you to elaborate on what this book means to you.
So this is so funny. So in the 3rd grade, I share this in some of our seminars. So in the 3rd grade, this shows you how mentally deranged I am, Jack. In the 3rd grade, my 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Stirk, gave us a open reading assignment, which meant we got to choose the book that we wanted to read. And then we would bring it back to her the next day for her approval. And then that was our reading assignment for the next couple of weeks. So I went home and perused the library at home. And as you know, my dad ran the largest ad agency in the Western United States his whole career. So our library at home was just packed with marketing and sales and advertising and psychology and all kinds of stuff, those kind of books. So I just picked a title. It sounded cool to me. I didn't think a second thing of it. And so I took it back to her and I gave it to her the next morning for her approval. And she looked at it and she looked at me and she goes, "This is a interesting choice for an 8-year-old, right?" So not a typical choice for an 8-year-old. Yeah. So I've been on this path for, my whole life. So yeah, I'm a little twisted. So.
Well, I can see why you are the man you are today. If you started with this kind of content,
I have to reread it every day. I think I need the lessons more than anybody. Yeah.
What's interesting is it was written, I think, in 1932.
Yeah, it was in the Depression. Yeah.
What's funny is that how things come back around. When I often use examples from this book when I talk about social media marketing.
Sure.
Because the principles still work 100 years years later, right?
Yeah. Whether they're digital or face to face, it's all the same.
Yeah, I know, it's pretty crazy. All right, let me share go back to there. We should be in the right view. We good? Can you see us both?
Yes.
All right, good. All right, so what I've asked you to do, Steve, is just come to the table we kind of do a little rapid fire. I asked you to bring 3 concepts that are related to dental digital marketing. And we're going to just take 4 minutes on each idea and just have you kind of elaborate and maybe have a little discussion. And you sent me 3 ideas ahead of time, and I want to set each one of those up right now. So on the first idea, you mentioned, and I'm just going to read the little sentence that you sent over to me, the most powerful form of digital marketing is not digital at all. Digital is a distribution method of what we always have known for many years, that dentistry is a word-of-mouth business.
So let me add to that. I got 4 minutes, so I got to work fast.
Yep.
So in the latest study that we helped commission on patients' perceptions of dentistry nationwide, the number one preferred choice of how to choose a dentist, 81% responded that they prefer to choose their dentist based on the recommendation of a friend or a family member.
Wow.
Right? So that hasn't changed in decades, is that people go to people they trust for one of the most important decisions that they'll make. That's true in healthcare, really in all healthcare disciplines. And so when it comes down to what we view as digital marketing is a distribution method, it's a way to get the word out of the most preferred method for people to choose a dentist, which is word of mouth. So digital is a subset of word of mouth. Verbally, face-to-face is word of mouth. Talking to somebody at a cocktail party is word of mouth. So there's all different types of word of mouth. Digital is part of word of mouth. So what has to happen is it's not just the digital part. We got to take a couple of steps back and say, what are we giving people to talk about in the first place? If it's word of mouth, then we have to have something that is different, unusual, that is remarkable enough that they can remark about it or feel compelled to talk to other people about it. So what we always say is, before we get into how we're going to get the word out, let's talk about what the word is in the beginning. What are we giving people to talk about that is worthy of them, of share of mind, so that they feel compelled and they want to talk about it, whether it's over the internet or face-to-face or over lunch, whatever it is. What is it that there is to talk about?
Yeah, I like you used 2 words there that I often use together. You used the word share and you used the word worthy. I always talk about share-worthy content. What are you doing that's share-worthy? And if it's not share-worthy, then word of mouth doesn't work, whether it's digital or not, right?
Exactly. And Jack, as you know, it doesn't have to be, a lot of times it's not things that are like huge productions. It's sometimes just the simple thing of knowing something about somebody when they walk through the door, or remembering a birthday, or just the little things that make it a different and a noteworthy experience. We all know that. So that's really the first discussion, is what is there going on that gives patients something to talk about.
Yeah. And last year you participated in our conference in Dallas, the second annual Dental Digital Marketing Conference. And that was part of your presentation last year. You spent quite a bit of time helping the attending dentists understand that point. And I'm glad you brought it up again. I think it's very pertinent.
It's all about culture, all about the kind of environment that exists in the office, and just the normal things you do on a daily basis that may be normal for you, but are extraordinary for your patients, that give them something memorable that they can talk about to other people.
Yeah, so when we sit here and talk about it logically, it's very obvious that, well, of course you would do that beforehand. But when it gets into practice, sometimes we start publishing things without really thinking, is this share-worthy or not? What's a typical thing that you might recommend to a practice when they're saying, well, how do we know what's share-worthy? Like what?
So there's kind of 2 parts of this. One is what's share-worthy that we as a practice can post on our own social media, versus what is something that a patient would find share-worthy, that they would share on their social media, because it goes both ways, right? Mm-hmm. So let me give you a very, very simple example, one that I love. So this is an actual event that happened in a practice where there was a new patient that called, say 9:00 in the morning, and scheduled a new patient appointment. Now, in our book at Total Patient Service, we work very hard on that initial contact, because it speaks volumes to what the entire relationship is going to be like. So we have very specific verbal skills and how we design that whole first contact experience.
Yeah.
So this patient called, scheduled the appointment, and then mid-afternoon that same day, another new patient called to schedule a new patient appointment, and they asked, "Where did you hear about us?"
Hold on.
That must be 4 minutes.
Yeah, but we're going to finish the thought, and then
Okay. So asked, who can we thank for referring you to our practice? And she gave the name of the woman who called earlier that morning as a new patient who had not yet been into the office.
Oh.
Now, so the word of mouth had started before the new patient ever came to the practice. So what was ordinary and routine for that practice, just how they engage patients at that first contact, was so extraordinary for that person who scheduled that she had already started talking about the practice before she ever got there.
Isn't that something?
Right? So that to me is one of the best examples of, if you just build into your culture and what you do and how you do it, things that are just make people feel important and compel them to say, wow, that was a great experience. They'll share it.
Yeah, and what's so neat is you don't have to focus on the digital internet part, because it just happens if you start in the right place, right? Yeah, great point. All right, move on to number 2. Ready? Your second idea. You said if you want a digital review, you got to ask for it. But there's there are ways to ask.
Isn't that? I mean, that's a remarkable thought. So here's, we were talking about, how to win friends and influence people, right? So I got a very, very heavy dose of marketing and sales and human psychology education as a kid, because we grew up with this dinner table conversations about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things that my dad shared with me years and years ago is that negative word of mouth travels 13 times faster than positive word of mouth, right? You don't have to ask for a negative review. That happens all by itself. You don't have to tell, you never have a patient that comes up and says, I really didn't like my experience. How do I leave a negative review for you guys, right? They all can always find the Google review site or wherever it is to leave the negative review. Positive reviews are more difficult to get, right? Because they, for whatever reason, they move a little bit slower and people are busy and the whole deal. So yeah, if you want good reviews, 3-letter word, you got to ask for them. Yeah. So, and it's how you ask. And so just as a quick idea here is spontaneously just go with it, right? In other words, the easiest way is just to go with what's already happening that's positive. So when a patient spontaneously says, gee, that was a great experience today, or thanks so much, they thank you for something, or just happen to mention something positive that happened, there's your opportunity, is stop and say, you know what, I really appreciate you sharing that with me. And there are a lot of people that we know that are out there that would love to hear about that experience, because they may have had a bad experience in the past someplace else. And if they hear about a positive experience in an office, that may be the one thing that encourages them to make the move to take care of themselves. So would you mind sharing that same experience that you just shared with me? Would you mind sharing that on our review site, or on, just ask them to take what they've already told you and share it in a different direction so that more people can hear about it. So that makes it easy. I mean, just start with the stuff that's already happening that people mention and talk about, and just ask them to share it in a little different format. Share digitally what they've expressed verbally.
That's a neat way to position it. I haven't thought about that way very much. And a neat thing about that is you're not coming out of the blue with something that they hadn't been thinking about. They just expressed it. They did, right?
It's just a natural extension is, gee, that's great. And, so you just ask one more, would you mind sharing that in a little different format? They've already said it. They don't have to make it up. They already talked about it.
Huh. So maybe is it a reminder maybe in the team huddle each morning to, hey gang, let's always be listening, because people do love us. And when they say something, there's the opportunity to just have to keep reminding the team to listen, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Our prescription, Jack, is 2 a day, which is just set a goal in the morning meeting that you're going to get at least 2 reviews that day. and just be listening for opportunities to ask for those reviews. And if you just listen, and I would say this, if you don't get any compliments at all from your patients all day long, you're doing something wrong, right? We got to go back and talk about what we're doing, because there should be comments and thank yous and expressions of gratitude all day long from patients that appreciate what you've done, how you've changed their life, how you made it more convenient for them, how it was painless, whatever it is. Take those compliments and expressions of gratitude, take them seriously and do something with them, run with it.
Yeah. You're almost tying your second idea in with your first one, because
right.
what you're saying is if there aren't expressions of gratitude and compliments, then maybe you're not doing anything that is remarkable, right?
Exactly. So yeah, they do definitely go together.
Perfect timing. Wow, you are right on time. Okay, number 3.
Yep.
You said if you think you can ask and people will leave a review for you later, you probably won't get that review later. In fact, you'll never get it.
All right. So here's the rule: is there's an inverse relationship between time and action. In other words, if the time in the moment when you feel the most urgency to do something is when we're face to face and I ask you to do something, we have a discussion about it, you're not going to feel any more urgency to do it than right at that moment. Right. So if we deceive ourselves in thinking that I can say, gee, Jack, would you mind leaving us a review, or go to Google, whatever it is, and yeah, I'll do it. The chances of you going home and doing that are slim to none.
Yeah.
When you walk out the door, you got 50 million other things on your mind. You're going to go do that. So if it's good enough to ask, then it's good enough to create the space to make it happen. So, for example, my social reviews, you've made it really, really easy for people to leave a review. I mean, really easy, right? All you got to do is click on a few buttons and the whole deal. So our preference then is they say, sure, I'd be happy to do that. They say, great. If you got a minute, let me see your phone, right? And if you've already sent them the link and the whole deal, then say, let me help you so so I can show you exactly where to do it, because it's really, really easy. You got to tell them that it's really easy. And then do it right there.
Yeah.
You know, so right there, if it's in the chair, get to the right spot, hand them their phone back while you're, doing something else. It takes, a minute or two while you're off doing something. Let them leave the review while they're sitting right there in the chair. Now, again, when I said my prescription's like 2 a day, I don't recommend doing this with every patient, because you'll start running behind the whole deal. But you can do that with 2. Mm-hmm. You can do that with 2 people a day, is give them the time to write out their review while they're sitting there, do it on their phone, sitting there in the chair, right there in your office. Then you got it. You don't have to hope. You don't have to pray.
That's right.
That they're going to do it when you get home.
And you don't have to, I think one of the things that's discouraging sometimes for practices is they take the approach in the morning huddle and say, okay, gang, today's the day. We're gonna have everybody ask everybody for a review. And I think the team says, I think it's going to be about the same as yesterday. This is not going to happen, right?
Yeah. So we like to strategize in the morning meeting and say, so like if somebody's coming in for their seat appointment and they've had some significant restorative work done, and Jack, let's say you're the dental assistant, I'd say, okay, Jack, we got Betty Jones is coming in for a seat appointment. She's going to look awesome. We know she is going to be just dazzled with her new smile. So one of your responsibilities today is to ask her for a review and give her a minute or two to do it. And then tomorrow, when we come back to the morning meeting, then we're going to say, okay, Jack, how'd it go?
Yeah.
Did we get the reviews? So we've got assignment and then we've got accountability. You get to report back on what happened.
And what's neat about that is, like you said, you don't need to have this happen 20 times a week.
No.
If it happens 2 or 3 times a week, you're going to have 150 5-star reviews at the end of the year, which are 150 more than most practices will have otherwise.
So here's just a small point of definition. Everyone in the practice is responsible for getting reviews. Okay, everybody can do it. Everybody can get a review. And you need to identify every day 2 points where someone or 2 people will be accountable for getting those reviews. So accountability and responsibility are 2 different things. They're related, but they're different. Everybody can do it. We're going to make sure that 2 people do it.
It's great. What a great way to approach it. I would imagine, I mean, you coach lots and lots of practices. When you lay it out in that way, are they finding that it's just not only more effective, but easier?
Yeah, right. So if you have the system in place to do it and you do it consistently every day and you have the format to do that, so it's all, that's one of our favorite things is that whole morning, we call it a morning opportunity meeting. That thing is done consistently the same way every day, and it has these key things that we want to keep in alignment so that we make sure they happen every day.
Yeah. Great. And what's neat about that, well, all three of your ideas, but especially that last one, that's so actionable. So any of you out there in our audience who just sat through those 4 minutes, that is something you can do on your own starting tomorrow morning in your practice. I mean, that's easy, actionable material. So
you got it.
Awesome, Steve. Thank you for sharing that. Thanks for sharing all three ideas. They were awesome.
Happy to do it.
Now, in conclusion, those of our audience who have watched a few of these, we do this kind of funky little quiz at the end.
I've heard about this.
I've prepared 5 questions, and as soon as you get 3 of the 5 correct, you win, except you don't win. I'm sorry. You're going to play our little trivia quiz here thing for a dental practice. And if you do win this practice, we've picked Johnsburg Dental Center in Illinois, in Johnsburg, Illinois. My social practice is going to treat them to lunch if you can win the quiz for them.
All right. This is otherwise known as ignorance exposed. All right. Here we go.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
Question number 1. We're down to the final 4 in March Madness.
Oh, dude.
Sports trivia. Name the 4th team. The first one's South Carolina, North Carolina, Gonzaga, and I think it's Saturday night. There'll be the 4th. Do you remember who the
South Carolina? I was going to say, because I knew about South Carolina, North Carolina, Gonzaga. And everybody that's a huge basketball fan knows the answer to this question.
Well, if it's any comfort, I would not have known this had I not looked it up.
Can you give me a little bit of a hint, Jack? Like maybe one, don't give it away, but give me one hint.
They come from the West Coast. The team is on the West Coast, not the East Coast or the middle part of the country. They come from an area north of California.
Okay, so it's got to be Oregon or Washington. I know everybody's a basketball fan going, Steve, you're late. How do you not know this?
You just said it. There's your 3rd hint.
I just said it?
Yeah, and you said
Lane.
I said north of California, and you said it's either
Oregon or Washington, right?
Oregon.
There you go. Okay, so I was close. Well, give me credit.
I'll give you half credit for that. Okay.
Good deal.
You're at 1 half.
Hopefully I haven't lost credibility in the sight of all the big college basketball fans.
I don't think so. All right. What pop album is the best-selling album of all time?
Okay.
I'm not giving
I don't get choices? This is not multiple choice?
No.
Oh, dude.
This is harder.
Okay, so if it's pop, it's either got to be a Beatles album or Beatles or Michael Jackson. Am I getting close?
Yes, you're very, very warm. Yes.
Is it Michael Jackson?
Yes.
Thriller? Yay! There you
go. Best-selling album of all time. Michael Jackson's Thriller.
How many copies?
Ooh, boy. Now I don't know.
I'm pitching it back to you, Jack.
Yes, you are. You have to look that up. Okay, number 3. What new service did Amazon just announce? Here's your choices. Amazon Fresh Grocery Pickup, Amazon Real Estate Network, or Amazon Dentistry.
I don't think it's Amazon Dentistry. I know the grocery pickup thing's been around for a while. So I'm going to have to say
I'll give you a little hint. So the Amazon Fresh has been around a little while, but there's a new twist.
Okay, so it must be number 1. It must be Amazon Fresh Grocery.
It is. Now, in addition to being able to buy them, you can call ahead and pull up, and this gentleman
got it. No, they'll load it up for you.
Run it out and load it up.
I like it.
Yeah.
So is that just in Seattle?
I think they've rolled it out in a few test markets. Yeah, I don't think it's widely available yet, but we'll see. All right, number 4, true or false? Katharine Hepburn, who died at age 96, won more Academy Awards than any other actress with 4 Oscars and 12 nominations.
I got to think that's true. That's true.
That is true. You are correct.
That was a giveaway, Jack. That was like, in case Steve doesn't get any of the others right, we'll give him this one.
Well, I'll tell you, last time I did this with someone, I had a couple of ones that I knew they would get. One was, what's the little fairy in Peter Pan?
Tinkerbell.
Yeah, so I knew they'd get that one. Okay, last question. Ready? What is the largest bone in the human body?
Oh, largest bone. So isn't that your, there's my anatomy. I'm a marketing guy. So that's going to be the what's the bone in your leg, the upper part of your thigh? What is that?
Yes, you are correct. Remember
whatever that's called. It's not the thigh bone, but it's the whatever the big bone is there. Femur, there you go.
It is the femur.
That was close.
I think you got 3.5 out of 5. So that qualifies.
All right.
And you are a winner. Actually, Jonesburg Dental Center.
Because, Jack, I was going to say that if you wouldn't send them lunch, I will. Just give them, you know. I'm probably not the guy they would have chosen to answer all these questions. So
it's just always fun to put my guests on the hot seat. Boy, isn't that mean of me? I know. Okay.
That's it.
All right. So before we let you go, Steve, I want to make sure everybody has your contact information. They want to talk more about the ideas you've been talking about, or just want to connect with you just to learn from all the things that you're doing in the dental industry. It's Total Patient Service Institute. There's the 877 phone number. You can reach out to Steve, just Steve at StephenJAnderson.com. And Steve's on all social media channels, and you can always get him through us too if you drop me a line. So,
and yeah, Jack, I'd even add to that, if you go to one of the totalpatientservice.com website, there's a free resources tab that has all kinds of great resources the practice can use. No charge, just great little tidbits like this that will help increase case acceptance. That's what we're all about at Total Patient Service, is increasing case acceptance for needed dental treatment. So thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, I'm glad that's the URL. I wanted to make sure they have it. It's just totalpatientservice.com.
Totalpatientservice.com.
Right?
That's it.
Yeah. So, okay, let me unshare my screen here. Stop share. There we are. So again, Steve, thank you for spending time with us.
Hey, thanks, Jack. And I'm looking forward to the marketing conference the end of April. And great, huge group and packed with information. So looking forward to being there for all that.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know yet, who haven't watched some of the other presentations, if you want to learn more about the conference, it's simple. Just go to dentalmarketingconference.com and you can learn all about the conference. And it's not too late to register if you decide you want to join us. So, thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Jack.
Great having you. Talk to you later.